Please. Welcome, everybody. We just had to start recording now. Perfect. Okay, so we were going to start with Georgia. Just give you a little bit of a snapshot. So Georgia is our project manager, one of our project managers in the marketing team at Adelaide Fringe. Georgia's going to be talking about strategy, development, and campaign coordination. Ooh, well, that's what you focus on at Adelaide Fringe. But so basically her previous experience to being in this role has led her to specialize in organic and paid social media advertising and email marketing, which is amazing that everyone's going to be able to feed off of her wisdom. So Georgia is also a performer herself, so excellent to have her in this space, and she's really excited to be a part of the Fringe team and to support all our artists. So I'm going to pass you over to Georgia. Well, hold on to questions, as I said, and we'll speak later.
Thank you so much. I joined the Fringe team just this year, but as Lisa mentioned, I've worked in marketing for the last 4 years. I studied a double degree in journalism and creative writing. Performing is a huge passion of mine, and so I feel very lucky to work for the Fringe in the industry that I studied for. So today what I'm going to go through is I want to run through each of our social media platforms, the types of audiences that you can reach on those, why you would use a platform over another. There's a lot of social media platforms, and so I think it's important to note that you want to be on everything because you think everyone is on everything, but it's better to get better at one thing and focus on that one platform, get it right, and then, you know, look at what else is out there. So it's about finding your audience on which platform, using that first and getting to know it, using it from an organic side, and then exploring also the paid opportunities on social media. Later on, I will also go through, you know, how you can manage posting to these social media channels, how you should be managing the community on these channels. They are social media channels after all, and looking at how you can analyze your insights and the type of content that you should be putting on there. So, you know, looking at your images versus your video. Social media is a forever changing landscape, and so in people who are marketing experts are still trying to keep up because it's changing every day, which is great. So looking at social media channels, I would love to get just an idea of in the room, if as an artist and a performer or a producer or a venue, if you are on social media from your business's perspective or your show's perspective, and what channels you might be on at the moment, or what you feel comfortable being on at the moment.
My act has their own webpage. They also have Instagram and Facebook, and we intend to do Facebook events as well.
Great. So for people on Zoom, that was a webpage, Instagram, Facebook, and hoping to do Facebook events soon. Anyone else?
Well, the same ones, but I'm also having a crack at TikTok.
Having a crack at TikTok.
Very boring.
Yeah. Fringe is still understanding TikTok as well. It's a very new platform. That is definitely not my specialty in TikTok. I know the basics as well. It's brand new and it's very popular with, obviously, with younger people as well. So, but we try to do some fun dances on that sometimes. Yeah. Great.
We've got a new act. We're producing a website at the moment. Probably take 3 or 4 weeks. The goal is to have it completed by December 6th. It's on sale date.
That's great.
And but I know nothing about using any of the other socials, you know,
Sure.
Instagrams and Facebooks and so on for marketing.
Great, great. Yeah, so website's obviously a fantastic way to start. It is a great thing to have when it comes down to if you want to look down the route of advertising on social media, you do need to have that website as well. It's a fantastic way to capture your data too, which I'll get into specifically soon. So looking, yes.
Just a quick, so a website, like I've got a website for myself and I put the show up that, but you actually, the show has a website.
It doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It just needs to make just remember that when you are sending traffic to your website, that website holds the data. And so you'll just need to be consistent in using that specific website. If you've got multiple shows and you just want to use that one website, that's fine. If you have a show this year and then a different show next year, if you want to, you know, for example, if you want to approach the people who visited your website this year, next year, it'll need to be the same website. It wouldn't be like a new website for that new show. And so I guess it's just important to be consistent with it. Does that help? Great. Okay. So looking at the channels, Instagram is our favorite channel at the Adelaide Fringe. It is a visual platform, which is great because we're able to showcase so many of the amazing content that we capture during the Fringe, fantastic imagery, video that we create with our videographers. It has exponentially grown in the way that you can convert as well. There's a lot more direct ways that you can sell tickets. You can put, you know, in Instagram, you can't link directly in a post. So it's always been click the link in my bio. So you can put links in your bio on your page. Now using stories, you can pop links directly in there. So it's a lot easier for a direct link. They used to have to have 10,000 followers in order to have a swipe up mechanism to go directly to a website. So that's changed. Instagram is growing in that to make it more accessible for everyone who don't have heaps and heaps of followers. It's not important to have lots of followers at all. What is important on Instagram is to post consistently. So figure out how often you can post to your channel, whether that's 3 times a week, once a week, and stick to that. So work out a bit of a plan of what you'll be posting in the month, and think about that ahead so that you're posting consistently. This will help the algorithm, which means that people will be able to see your posts will be coming up in people's feeds a lot easier, instead of posting erratically and just when you can. This way you can kind of be a bit more strategic on what you're posting when and for example. Is it okay if we leave questions to the end? Yeah, great, no worries. Typically the audience on Instagram is anywhere between like 18 to 40 or 50 years old. That is the general demographic on there. It's fantastic for brand awareness. For you know, it's very easy to start a profile and to start promoting that on Instagram. Facebook actually, it comes under the same owner as Instagram, so they're both owned by the Meta business. Facebook, you can connect those 2 pages, and what you do on Facebook and what you do on Instagram, it benefits the other pages in the algorithm as well. So like on Instagram, posting consistency, it's the same thing on Facebook. So it would definitely help doing that, and that just helps the algorithm to post organically. It is a slightly older audience that is more using Facebook these days as well. Younger people are moving to that Instagram, that TikTok, but Facebook is still heavily used with older audiences. The events section is still heavily used, as are Facebook groups. We use Facebook groups at the Adelaide Fringe. We have one for our members. We have one for our artists and venues. We have one, we run a schools program, so we use it with teachers. And that just allows you to kind of create that closed community in Facebook as well, where you can have that direct connection with people who are more likely to engage with that content specifically, as opposed to a broad page like anyone can like your Facebook page. So those are also great. Twitter and LinkedIn, 2 channels we also use at the Fringe. LinkedIn is very industry facing, very B2B marketing businesses. Definitely not one to focus on at the beginning if you're still wrapping your head around certain, I would say, but your Instagram, your Facebook are better ones to sell those tickets. Essentially, LinkedIn it's about that connection. If you want to connect with people in the industry, is great. It's still very corporate though. I would say it is growing in a lot of factors. Twitter, however, we have found that it is a very artist heavy platform. We do have a lot of conversations with our artists happening on Twitter, and so that's a lot of conversations happening there, a lot of opportunity for ticket sales as well, I would say. So don't ignore Twitter. It's not nearly as big in Australia as it is in, say, America. It's very big over in America. Certain communities in Australia are great on Twitter though as well. And you've got TikTok, very trending for video content creation, brand awareness, reaching those younger audiences. As I mentioned before, it is something that we are still learning at the Adelaide Fringe, especially because we have our Fringe audience is so wide and we don't want to ignore any certain age groups or anything like that. So we are still learning at it and still making sure that we're covering ourselves on all of our channels excessively too. So it's still something that if you know you want to create those fun videos, it's great. However, there's no direct way to purchase a ticket, for example. You can't send anyone off TikTok. You can't have put that link there and send them to a website. It's harder to convert on TikTok. So it's more of that fun kind of brand awareness campaign at the moment. Then over to YouTube. Fantastic for those long format videos. It's also fantastic for SEO purposes, so search engine optimization. Having a YouTube channel will help your website just with those SEO improvements and tagging and backlinking and all those kind of a bit more technical details. Having a channel and simply posting those longer videos, if you have them, if you make a promotional video for your show or a wrap-up video of your fringe season or anything like that, it's a great platform to upload that video and share the link. And it's just going to help that cross promotion across YouTube and your website. And you can share it directly through to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and also to your Instagram stories as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the posting frequency, just figuring out how frequently you can post and trying to sticking to that. Your community management side, as much as you can post so many different things on a channel, it's important to engage with the community you're starting to grow on your channel as well. So not only replying to comments that might be made on your own posts, but also engaging with other accounts who are in your industry too, following other artists and venues, following people in the industry who you look up to, who you want to help. Anyway, it is a community, and commenting on other people's posts and connecting that way. It is a social platform, and it is a great way to make connections as well. And it's something as simple as you've connected on social media and you've sent them a message, they may have replied. Then when Fringe is here, you can connect, go out for a drink. You don't know what that can lead to. And I think people do sometimes forget about that social media. There's a lot of genuine people on there, and people do want to use it for good, and it can be very good in the artist facing world as well. In all of these platforms, they are engagement insights. You can always do an analysis on your stats. You can figure out which posts are performing the best, which are getting the most attraction, what kind of links are getting the best clicks, whether it's more about you're reaching a lot of people, but they're not clicking through. You can look at the type of content you're putting there and how you can create that content to better convert those link clicks. So I definitely say don't overlook those insights pages. They can be very, very helpful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially run you through how to create a Facebook advertising campaign. This area it can be quite complicated. So the lovely, I'm just going to use our Expressions Media Prompt Creative as an example for their ad account. So this is the back end of what a Facebook ad account looks like. What we will use Facebook advertising for is a number of different campaigns, whether it is brand awareness, and brand awareness that can also go for your shows, whether it is clicking through to a website to capture that data, and then also to convert, so ticket sales and that kind of thing. So in Facebook advertising, you also need to have a budget. You are buying advertising space on this platform. And even though it says Facebook ads, it's also for Instagram. So you do both in this platform, and you can just select the placements if you don't want it on Instagram or you don't want it on Facebook. Generally, it's always great to have it on both. You actually don't even have to have an Instagram account to advertise on Instagram because it's all done through Facebook ads. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a campaign. Now, there are 3 levels to creating an ad on Facebook ads. The campaign creation is the first one, where you're choosing an objective. Then you're getting down to targeting. So you can target based on a whole set of variations, which I'll go through, and setting your budget. And then lastly, you're popping in your copy, your visual, and you're setting it live. So there's 3 different stages. So at the beginning, you want to figure out if it is an awareness campaign you want to do, if it's sending traffic to your website, if you want that post to get better engagement, if you want more likes, more comments, which kind of falls under an awareness campaign as well. You can use it for lead generation, which is great for businesses, and you can use it for sales. So that is conversions. That's moving people to your website and tracking those ticket sales. So if someone were to use create a Facebook ad campaign, the the link that you would use to convert the ticket sales would go to your Fringe page where the ticket, because that is the most direct way to get them there, as opposed to sending them to your own website. Then there's another step to click through to purchase the ticket. So you want to make that journey as easy as possible for someone when they see your ad. So in this campaign level, you want to leave the categories, ignore that part. It can get very, very specific and detailed. A lot of it you actually can ignore. It is just Facebook trying to upsell a lot of things. Also remembering Facebook ads are highly used in e-commerce, so selling products. Selling tickets is a bit different. And so a lot of these functions you actually don't need to worry about either. The buying type is an auction. So the thing about Facebook ads is it is an auction. Just because you buy an advertising space does not guarantee it's going to sell amazingly, just like any ad. If you buy an ad in the paper, you might know the reach and the readership based on their stats. You don't know how well it's going to convert until you test it. It's the same in Facebook ads. So it's an auction. So your budget, your targeting, and your creative all impact how successful your ad is. And Facebook looks at your ad, it looks at all of those metrics, and it compares with essentially your competitors. So people who are targeting that same audience that you are, and it will choose which one it shows that audience, and it bids it against each other. You're always going to get in front of an audience, but the success of that is something you learn over time based on your budget, your creative, and your targeting. Then we're going to go next to our ad set. So our conversion for this ad is website traffic. I want to send traffic to the website. Then you can schedule your ad. So this will be great if you are performing a 1-week show for 1 week of the Fringe, and you want the ad to finish running on a specific date. If you want it to start running on a specific date, you can set all of that up in the back end. So it's automatically done. You don't have to manually turn anything off or anything like that. You can also set the time. Then we're going to look at our audience. There are a lot of different ways you can do this, but if we do it specifically in the ad set level, you can target by location. It's automatically set to Australia, but you can add a location. So if I want to target Adelaide, so it's going to come, I can target this area of Adelaide. You can change the radius. Say I want to go 80 Ks. And I can target that whole area in Adelaide. And as you can see up here, the audience definition, my estimated audience reach size at the moment is between 1.1 and 1.3 million people. And it's in the green, so that means I know that it's a good audience size at the moment. This is great if you are taking a show on the road. So if you are doing a regional tour and you want to tell people in Broken Hill, or you want to tell people in Mount Gambier that you are coming there, this is where this targeting is fantastic, because you can make sure the budget you're spending is only reaching people in that location. Alternatively, you can target Adelaide, people who are interested in traveling or have planned to travel, telling them you're taking your show on the road. So lots of different ways you can position that targeting and location depending on the message you want to push. Target by age. So if you want to set a certain age group, you can choose that. Obviously, you cannot target under 18 years old. You can set a gender if you wish. If your show is more of a male or female non-identifiable show, you can set that too. And then demographics as well. So here you can actually search by demographics, interests, or behaviors. So you can search by job title. You can search if they have children. So for kids and family, you can search by parents of children aged 1 to 5 years old. It can get very specific. This is where you start to realize how much data Facebook actually has on everyone, because this is how it can be used to target with these specific ads. If you create an audience and you know that you want to use it again, I would highly suggest you save the audience, then it will save it and you don't have to put in those details every single time. Here you can manage all of your placements. As a general rule, I would suggest using the recommended placements, because Facebook is very smart in using its budget. It will pick the best spots that your ad is going to perform, and it will learn where it performs the best and pop it there more often. But just for an idea, the platforms Facebook, Instagram, your audience network, and Messenger, ads in your feed, ads in your stories and your reels on Instagram, in-stream ads when you're watching videos on Watch, in your search functions, in articles, in apps and sites as well. So those are all the places that your ad can pop up. Move that back there. Your optimization is the conversion that you're looking for. So because we're doing a traffic campaign, you want link clicks. And that means that Facebook is going to optimize your ad in the best way for people to click a link. The next stage is creating the ad. So this is where you make sure that your correct Facebook page is connected. So you would have done this in the ad account setup. And this is also where you can select your Instagram account or you connect the Instagram account. When you create the ad, you can use a single image or a video. You can do a carousel, which is 2 or more scrollable images or videos, or you can do a collection. So this is where you would test. You could use your show poster as your creative, which is a possible idea. If you've had a photo shoot, you can use the different images from that for your show, or anything or your promotional video if you want to do. This is where you would select that creative. And when you come on down here, this is where you pop your text. And so you put your copy, whatever that, if it's about your show, roughly maybe very similar to what you put in your bio for the guide listing for your show in your registration. A headline and a description comes up at the bottom. It's not going to come up in the preview. A headline and a description comes up at the bottom of the ad, which is where, and then next to it, it has a button. So your call to action. The best one we would suggest is shop now. That is the quickest. Do it now or book now, because you are booking tickets. Either one, they both work. And then the description is what comes up next to it, like get tickets to my show, or book them, or selling out fast, or that kind of quick language that you think will resonate with your audience the best. You're just sending people to the website, so you pop in your destination URL. It does not have to be just the homepage. That can be a specific page that is about that show, for example. So this is where you'd link them to the specific show rather than the general website page. A very important thing, probably the most important thing to know about Facebook ads is about the Facebook ad pixel. So this is where that kind of coding language comes in, and it's not up to you to understand it at all. All you do need to know is that a pixel is a piece of code that needs to sit on your website, and that pixel talks directly to Facebook so it can track the data. So that means everyone who is clicking on your ad to your website, Facebook can track that. You can then retarget them with another ad. You know that they're a warm audience. You know that they're interested because they've clicked on your ad. Retarget them with another one with a stronger sell. That's where you go for the ticket sale, for example. So it's very important to have this pixel. In the business settings of Facebook, it tells you exactly how to upload it. If you've had someone help you create a website, this is also something that they might know to install a pixel. It is just a little bit of code that goes on your website page. And this is why websites have cookies and acceptances and everything like that, because it's websites like Facebook that are the ones that are using that data. And that little green light is the green light good to go. And then once you've done all that, you click publish. Now I've also just realized I've missed a very important part, your budget. So I don't know why it's not coming up here. Your budget is obviously how much money you're going to spend on the ad. It is something, I wonder if it's because I haven't done this properly, because we're just doing this as an example. It is something that comes up right under here.
Because you don't have end date?
No. That's fine. Either way, it is something that will pop up here under the budget. And once you pop in your budget, it will affect here estimated audience size, because the amount of budget that you put into your ad will dictate how many people it can reach. So this here is a great guide to see if you put in enough budget and if your audience size is a good size. Often to reach a certain number of people, you will have to have a certain number of budget. Facebook will work to that. You can set the budget so it spends X amount per day, or you can set it so that it spends X amount over a period of time, and Facebook will just spend that accordingly. And that is where you pop that budget in. It is a complicated way. I know Libby was mentioning before, when Facebook first introduced, you can advertise on Facebook. It was a much easier process just by boosting a post. You know, you just go into your Facebook page, it has a boost option, you click that, put a bit of money behind it, and you go spend. It's easier, but this way of doing it ensures you're spending the money the best way possible. When you just boost a post, you don't have as much control about who is seeing it. It just gives you a few options if it's people who like your Facebook page. People who like your Facebook page are great to target, but what you can do in this back end is you can create lookalike audiences. Facebook can find audiences on Facebook who look like the people who have liked your Facebook page, who have similarities, who might also, they're more likely to go buy your ticket than a random person who it doesn't associate with. You can do a lot more in that back end, and that is what we use at the Fringe, and we use it a lot. It is a huge revenue driver for the Adelaide Fringe, social media marketing, especially, you know, advertising in a newspaper, or that print marketing is sometimes not as good anymore, and you need to kind of what's the right word, like have stuff on. So we've got stuff on our social media advertising, and then we have stuff a little bit in print, but then you're cross-pollinating across a number of channels so that you're finding the different audiences, because everyone prefers to consume their content in a different way. And that's what you learn a bit more of in the social media marketing space as well. So there's our Facebook ads. I will ask for you to hold your questions till after Libby's presentation. We're going to have a Q&A, and then I can go into any specifics if you require them regarding the Facebook ads too. The final thing I wanted to touch on was just email marketing. Email marketing is also a fantastic way to send content and sell tickets to your audience. The easiest way to get started, a lot of email marketing softwares will have a free account of up to 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, and you don't have to pay anything. So something like MailChimp or MailerLite are great. We use MailerLite at the Adelaide Fringe. It can accommodate for a lot of subscribers as well. And then you start to pay per month based on how many subscribers you have. This email list is great if you want to build an audience. If it's something, if you take, for example, Craig Agan, who works at the Rhino Room, who does Adelaide Comedy. Adelaide Comedy is a year-round project, and he also does a lot during the Fringe. And so he works a lot with his email database because he has that content year-round that he wants to promote, and he builds up his email list. He can then go to that entire email list. You may have seen him later in the year and send him all of his Fringe shows that's happening at that time. You can also, when someone subscribes to that email list, you do actually have, because when someone signs up, they agree to your terms and conditions, you can also upload that mailing list to Facebook ads as a customer list, and Facebook will again find customers like them on Facebook to target your social media advertising.
Could you just repeat that last point?
Yeah. So you can essentially download your customer email list, like in an Excel spreadsheet from your email software. You can upload it to Facebook ads as an audience. Through that, you have to click something that you do have permission to upload that. So from there, it's always important to make sure that when someone signs up to your email list, you have the terms and conditions of how that data is used. There's a lot of templates online on how to do that properly. And then once you upload that to Facebook ads, Facebook can then generate other audiences that are like that audience on your email list who you don't currently have access to, and you can send your social media ads that way to those people. Does that help? That's it from me at the moment. Okay, great. Save me your questions for after.
Thank you. Everyone, I don't know about you guys, but thank you so much, Georgia. My mind is blown. So, just the last thing to touch on was about the ads.
Of course,
Okay.
if that was too much, we can do it all for you this year. So something that we have introduced at the Adelaide Fringe this year because of a huge demand is a social media advertising package. So you can essentially send your image and your copy to the Adelaide Fringe, and you would pay for a carousel, whatever ad that is. We've got different packages. You can find them on AVR in the advertising toolkit. And then that ad will show up on the Adelaide Fringe's sponsored page. By doing it that way, our experts will do it. So we will be targeting the right audience for your genre, for your ticket buyers, but also you will get access to the Adelaide Fringe audience, which is very big. Understandably, it's a lot of data in that database and we own it. So it's allowing you to tap into that audience and paying a small fee for it. And you get access to a whole wide range of data for that. So that is a new one for this year, which we're very excited about. So Deed has about their own AVR. And similarly, we also still offer advertising in our email direct marketing. Our Fringe e-news is 200,000 people, which is a very dedicated audience. We've got our members, and we are also finishing up for our schools guide and our access guide, which you can still advertise in. So all of those are in AVR for more details on those.
And just for anyone who's not sure where to find them on AVR, there's the list on the left-hand side when you're looking at My Festival, and there's a tab that says advertising, and it's all in there. So easy to find. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
That
much.
was amazing. Excellent. All right. So next we have Libby. And Libby is not only a performer, she is a publicist, she's a journalist, she is a venue owner. And when she's not doing all of these things, she is a stand-up comedy, she's a teacher, she's a busy parent with a bunch of kids and cats. Libby's show at Fringe is Endo Days. It's a singing support group about endometriosis, and extracurricular is another one, which is a comedy cabaret about the education sector. So both of them are in for Adelaide Fringe 2023. She also runs arts news site Upside Adelaide and is a radio presenter on 3D radio. And she runs Prompt Creative, which is where we are today. So it's a creative learning hub for artists, or us, our community. So I'd like to introduce Libby to take you on a journey in all the world of PR, marketing, and Adelaide Fringe artists.
Am I going to be too close if I stand here? Is it going to be all nostril?
No, you're fine.
Okay, cool. Hello, people in the room, and hello, people at home. Yes, I am all of those things. And so I'm coming at you from an artist's perspective who has had some really well attended shows and some pretty poorly attended shows. So I've stumbled over it. So, I've gone over the hurdles and things, but also as a journalist who gets pitched at a lot, and who runs stories, and as a radio presenter who also does a lot of Fringe interviews, and as a venue owner, so I've lots of ground to cover here. So I'm not going to just bleat at you from a PR perspective. I'm going to talk about, how you can work with media and how you can promote what you've got going on. But just so that a little humble brag, so that you know that, I'm not full of it and I do know my stuff. What we've got on the screen at the moment is a front page story that I got as a publicist when I was publicist for Music SA. That is a beautiful picture of two gorgeous artists who happen to turn up to that photo shoot wearing the same thing. They're both wearing like sparkly, gorgeous outfit, and we had them sitting on the bar at the Cranker. And if you have a look at the headline there, that was during the very start of COVID. So that was 2020, COVID had just hit, and I got local musicians on the front page of the paper. So a little humble brag there that you can do it. I know it's really hard to get arts into the media sometimes, but it can be done usually. And what I'm going to talk about most of all is when you've got a good picture. I would also very highly recommend that you do everything that Georgia has talked about as well, because there is no substitute, I think, for social media marketing. It's your audience, it's your people, it's and even your mailing list as well. Like, get that. If you did a show before, get your mailing list, like get your ticket list from Fringe, and hit those people up. If they liked you before, they're going to like you again. People like to go to things as well that they've got some connection with too. So it's like, I saw you last year, you were great. And then they come back again and they tell their friends. And usually that sort of targeted marketing will hit those people's friends as well anyway. So I like to say that when you're doing PR and when you're doing marketing is to look at your competition. Who are you up against? What are they doing? What are they doing really well that you can, maybe borrow some tips from? And what are they doing poorly that you can do better? And, how are they marketing themselves? Do you want to do it that way or not? I don't think there's any harm. I think, imitation, best form of flattery. You don't want to just completely rip off someone's idea, but what are the people that you admire doing? And can you do it too? Or, something similar. So create a profile of your competition so you can stay ahead of them, or, alongside them, or collab with them as well, I think is quite fun. So how can you promote? We've talked about social media, some really good stuff there. You can send out a media release and you can pitch that to radio, TV, online, print. You can do some Google ads. You can do some sponsored posts, print, radio, TV, online advertising, advertorial, that kind of thing. So there's lots of ways that you can advertise. You can get influencers involved depending on what your thing is. So, if you're doing, I often find when we're doing a music festival, we might get some of the music influence, like it's a hip hop festival, you might pay some hip hop people who might, promote your posts on Instagram. They go along with this, it's amazing. And that can be a really good alignment. Say what you will about influencers, they do have a really a strong part to play in marketing. Content SEO, Georgia talked about SEO, search engine optimization, which is where you are ranking on Google or search engines. Let's be honest, Google's the only search engine that we care about. So using blogs to do that. If you've got a website, you should be doing blogs, using blogs to promote the keywords that you would be searched as. So if you are a French artist Adelaide, or stand-up comedian Adelaide, or stand-up comedian Adelaide Fringe, use those keywords in your blogs. Sending out emails, sending out newsletters, videos, Google My Business, all those things that George talked about. Merch is a good way to promote as well. So, getting your face on a mug or a water bottle or something like that. So there's plenty of ways that we can promote. So social media and blog ideas, if you want to create some content, you might do your top 10 festival picks. So you are then tagging other people. Those people will share. They will traffic back to your site, which is rather nice. Hot tips for things. I always say to people, if they're, maybe gift ideas for Christmas, and chuck your show in there. Or you might want to do, gift ideas, Adelaide Fringe guides, where you go through and you pick some people who you think are going to share that content or return the favor. Or asking questions on social media is really good, if it's to do with your show. My show, one of them was about endometriosis. So I might ask a question about that and just get some responses, and that's going to make my post go higher and thus more engagement, because engagement is better than likes. Likes are great, follows are excellent, but engagement is where it's at. You can have 40,000 likes on Facebook, but maybe one person, tags someone on your post and it's, just a scammy one or something like that. So as a journalist, if I'm a journalist looking you up and I go to your social media, which I might do if you haven't provided all your stuff in your press release, if you don't have contact details there, I'm not going to contact you. I'm not going to know how to contact you. Have contact details, sharing regular content, because I might want to have a look at what you've got going on there. If you've got a video on there, I can have a look at perhaps how you interview. If I'm a TV journalist in particular, I'm going to want to know what you're going to be like on TV. So I'm going to sort of pre-interview by having a look at your videos. And great photos, have great photos. The image gets the story every single time. Get a pro. I'll get to that in a second. I've got so much to cover, so I'm speeding through this, but also I just had a soft drink and I'm full of sugar. Be on brand, use your genuine voice. So being sure that you know what it is. What's your story? What's your message? What do you want people to know about your show? What do you want people to know about you? Who do you want to come to your show? Who are you talking to? Do you want, you know, seniors to come to your show? If so, that's how you do it. If you want really young people to come to your show, if you want specifically teachers, if there are teachers out there, extracurriculars playing for half the first 2 weeks of French in Gluttony, it's really good. You should go see it. Keep it updated. Make sure you're posting all the time. Okay. Make a content calendar. Make use of days. Endometriosis is something that one of my shows is about. Endo March is an excellent time for me to promote everything because that's also Mad March. So this Fringe, I did Endo March day 1, and I, you know, put up something every day about what it's like to have endometriosis. And then I got a little bit sick with endometriosis and I missed 5 days of it. So I just said, you know, Endo March days, you know, 7 to whatever, and put it up, and people thought that was great because it was really genuine and honest, and it got a lot of engagement. So using your monthly awareness days, is there a mental health themed day that your show could connect with? You know, is your show about diabetes? Can you, you know, go on with that? You know, find something like a holiday or an awareness day, events coming up, Christmas is coming up, that kind of thing, and try to connect with those. All right, so your email marketing, you did talk about that before, Georgia, but I was going to say that doing offers and rewards in email marketing is great. People want to think that they're getting something when they get an email from you. They don't just want to be like, I'm doing a show, cool, yeah, I know that, but what can I, you know, you want them to open it. How many times do you open an email because it says 15% off for you, you know, rather than just, oh, announcement, this is happening. You know, you tend to open it when there's something in it for you. All right. Videos are great. Showing what you can do in a video is excellent. As Georgia said, it's really good for your backlinking and for your SEO, but it also shows a journalist what you can do, and is really, really good content for them as well. Oh. Making a statement with photos. So get a pro, have great lighting and a great background. High resolution photos are just like, it's a non-negotiable. You've got to have high res photos. If you send through a photo to print and they can't use it, then sometimes you're going to lose that story. Go out of your comfort zone. You know, sometimes the cheesier the better. If you're trying to pitch to Sunday Mail, you know, you have like that kind of thing going on. Within context, of course, don't compromise your creativity or your integrity. But if you want a story, you know, there are some levels that you might need to go to. And make it easy for the journalist. I would say 1 to 3 photos. Don't send them your entire album, because if you send a whole Dropbox with 30 photos in it, they're going to probably choose the first one, especially if they're a community blog like myself. I'm not looking through all of those. I'm going to choose that first one, and I guarantee that's the one you don't want me to use. So make it easy for us. So 1 to 3, landscape and portrait is good because you don't know where that placement is going to be, and label them. Either label them with the photographer or label them with your name or the show name, but just make sure that you label them, because if they've just got a heap of numbers, it just makes it a little more difficult, and you want to make it as easy as possible for that journalist or that publication to do your story. All right, so this is a photo shoot that I set up when I was doing Scouted Festival, doing the publicity for that. So I took it out to, I took 3 artists who were on the lineup. So I've got 3 really gorgeous people who were happy to be a bit silly and hang around in the shrubbery. Can you tell me where that is?
It's a jive.
It's a jive, yeah. And that was one of the venues. So you set the scene, you tell the story, your background tells where it is. You know, if you're show is, you know, like I'm going to go with this person. You're doing something French, aren't you? Yeah. So you might want to do something that looks a little French. I know, like Hey Jupiter, or is that a French place?
Yeah.
You know, or you know, somewhere where there are berets. I don't know. But you know, so you want to do something that sets us in, that shows the photo. And sometimes what will happen is that the journalist will then go, okay, we're going to recreate that or do something different. But it gives them a really good idea of what it is that they can do, you know, they can, you know, recreate it or do something even better. Or if you're doing a show about menstrual things, you might want to send them a photo of you floating on a giant sanitary napkin as well. So you could also do that. This is, it was high res once upon a time, and now it's not. This was Rumpelstiltskin, and this was a show that I think Windmill did. And it's just a great photo because even though it doesn't have a background, you can do so much with it. So it's sort of showing your journalist, you know, this is a really good character. You know, you can do some fun stuff with it, which is a really beautiful photo. This is an absolutely stunning photo, but you couldn't use it in print and you couldn't use it online because of the color. So it's important that even though it's gorgeous and she's gorgeous, and I love the whole mermaid thing, that your photo has to be able to be used, because if somebody has to come back to you and ask for another photo, someone else might come in the meantime with a better one. So, you know, just give them at the post and get in first. Okay, this one is Flavella Lamour, who is a serpent dancer. And I went to a journalist and said, I've got this great story. She's doing a Cabaret Fringe production, and I sent that photo. It's a fantastic photo. She's absolutely gorgeous. And we got this size story, which is great.
That was a supplied image.
That was a supplied image, yeah. So sending that story and the so send a media release, send that photo, and it got a run, and it was easy, and that's not always how it goes, but it was, you know, because that's an absolutely sensational photo. It looks incredible. You know, it's going to look good in print. I'm not expecting you all to look like that or dance with snakes, but the better your photos are, sometimes, you know, it can be a little bit easier, particularly if you want to hit up those community blogs as well and, you know, get your stuff online, which is really good for your SEO and it's good for your reach. Have good photos. Okay. This was another one that I got covered, and it was for a street festival, and it was a disaster because I was meant to have a barber. She was meant to be sitting in a barber's chair, and there were meant to be a whole heap of other people turn up, and they didn't turn up. So the barber didn't turn up. So this guy was just a bartender from Fat Controller. So I said, go and get some scissors. And because it was like they would have haircuts at this at this street festival. There was a barber going to be there. So I'm like, pretend to cut her hair. And this guy, I just said, come in out of your shop and bring a salad. So he did. And it's a really great photo. It was really, really fun. Johnny Graham, are you laughing at me? French publicist. The salad is colour. It's a great photo. And in the background, we brought some coloured umbrellas as a background in case you know, you got people who kind of photobomb things. So it got a good run and it was a good story. So moving along. Okay, pitching to the media. You're going to have great images. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but have some great images. You need a media release that has a hook, something that they can really sink their teeth into. A hook. It's not enough to say, I'm an Adelaide artist doing a show. You've got to have something that is specific to their publication. What do their readers want? What's going to help them, you know, get clicks, sell papers, people, you know, tune in. So what can you do for them? Oh, what else am I saying here? I'm trying to not talk your ear off. At the Meet the Media session, I feel like this is really important because as a journalist, I go to the Meet the Media and I have people come and pitch their shows to me. And some people do an absolutely brilliant job and some people are just a little bit nervous. So I just want to give you some tips about what we want to hear from you. Come prepared. So come prepared and specifically come prepared with your elevator pitch. What's your show about? Can you tell me in 25 words or less? Because if it's like, well, it's actually a bit of a journey and it's interpretive dance along with some visual art, which also sort of combines with an animal routine, which is also, you know, and just give me a pitch. What's the theme? What's the message? Who's going to be there? Who do you want to be there? Bring a media release or a flyer or info or something. Leave them with something. And if they give you something, like I will often give a QR code or a questionnaire and I say, here, take this, fill it out, and I will put up a story on my website about you. Just send me your photo and send me that. Do that. Send it back to me. I remember giving out about, well, I don't know, about 30 or 40 of them one year. And I think I got 8 back. And that's a story, because I'll do it. I'll put up all those stories and that's coverage for you. And it's not, I won't just put it up as a Q&A. I'll write an actual story. I'm insane. Costume can be fun. Do you dress like this all the time? You do. It's not a costume.
No.
Really love that for you. And I wish you could see this person. They look absolutely stunning. But like that is the first thing that anyone's going to notice about you is that you are dressed absolutely tonight. Can you stand in front of this camera, please? You got your hat on as well. I feel like everyone needs to see this. Look at this person. It's amazing. All right, round of applause. That was great. Thank you very much. What's your show called?
Tom Payne, based on that. Or It's a Tough Life.
Okay, 2 shows, Fringe debut. Amazing. All right, incredible. So grabbing people's attention by the way you're dressed. So some people will come and they'll play a song. I urge you, I beg you, I implore you, just do an excerpt of that song because I am sitting in front of you listening to that song and I get it's fun and it's lovely, but I'm a little uncomfortable because what do I do? Do I dance? But seeing an excerpt, that's great. I'll get the gist. But I want to talk to you as well. So I want to hear more about your show. I want to do that. But a song is great. If that's it, don't do a song unless your show is a musical. Be memorable, be kind. It's a lot for us. It's a lot for you at the Meet the Media Day because you're going to talk to everybody and you're going to wait turn. There's going to be a lot of moving around, but also, hi. So there's not I'm just being completely distracted because hi, who's got ADHD? Me. You have to pitch a lot to people, but we have to listen to them as well. So we need you to, be memorable, be kind, be gentle with us, and we'll be the same with you, hopefully. Be aware of time because you only get 2 minutes. It's like speed dating. And take note of who shows an interest in what you've got going on. So if it's somebody from a blog or a podcast, have a lot of podcasts there now, they're like, oh, that sounds really good. Then remember who they are, write it down or take a photo of their, whatever they're called, and then send them a bit of a follow-up. Don't ring them. Or if they ask you to ring them. But yeah, send them a bit of a follow-up and go, hey, just, catching up. Did you want to run that story? Would you like me to come in for an interview? Just following up about it. Give them a concept for their publication. If it's radio, I can do some music or I can do some performance poetry. Or if I've got some jokes to tell, I can come in with my dad and talk about how we're producing our show for the first time. That would be lovely. And I reckon ABC Radio would love that. You should do that. And if it's print, make sure that you can say, oh, I've got this great idea for a photo, or I'm a trapeze artist and I'm going to do this. And it's great because I've also, I do this whole thing with a gorilla. All right. So moving on. How do you pitch to press? You send a media release with a great hook and pics. And when I say a great hook, I mean, you've got to have a good lead. Okay, so your lead should have the most information in it. That's your who, what, where, when. Your why can be in the next paragraph, short, snappy sentences. Get it all in a good order and have your contact details at the end. Crucial. add value to the publication, be like, oh, well, I think this would be really good for seniors, and then send it to the senior mag or, SA Life or something like that. This would be really great for doctors because SA Life sits in the doctor's waiting room. Cast a wide net, but personalize your email, follow up, and tell them in the email what it's going to look like. When I sent that photo through of the woman with the snakes, I was like, this would look really good, some great photos, but if you wanted to recreate it, we could. Okay, just really love this photo because it does look like that hook is trying to punch on. So you're writing in the inverted pyramid with the most important information at the top. If you write it in one sentence per paragraph, that's the same way that journalists will write. And sometimes you'll find that, it might be published like that. And that's the end goal, is that you want people to reproduce your information, make it easy for them. Write it well, make it easy for them. Okay, how are we going? That's the inverted pyramid. So you got your lead and a little bit more information. Quote from you, or if you're producing the show, then the person who's in your show, a quotable person. So somebody who's important, somebody who they might go, that person sounds interesting. I want to interview them. I want to do more with this. I want them on my TV show. That'd be great on Sunrise. Okay. Include dates when the release is good for publication, and send it with plenty of time for the story to run. Please don't send it at the beginning of Fringe unless you want it to just go to spam. There are so many media releases going out during that time. So give plenty of time. Bearing in mind, it is tricky because there is a Christmas shutdown time as well. So you don't want to send it too early. You don't want to send it too late. So you've got to hit that sweet spot. You can follow up once you've sent one out. You can sort of say, hey, just following up, but don't do it so much that you get a restraining order. Please, if you are pitching and you have said I'm available for interviews, answer your phone when it rings. And if they do set you up for an interview, answer your phone when it rings. Yeah, say that. So PR have an excellent media release, have excellent photos, target your pitch, be polite and patient with media. If you're sending it to blogs or community radio and stuff like that, we are all busy and doing it voluntarily. So you've got to be patient, but we do appreciate a gentle nudge as well. You might be like, oh, I sent this to you last week and you said you're interested. And I'll be like, thank you. I'll do it now. So do follow up. We appreciate a bit of a nudge every now and then, but there's a fine line. Share the story. If somebody covers your show, share it, tag them, show them your appreciation, because they need the clicks and the views and the listens just as much as you do. Keep your website updated, your socials updated, have your facts straight and a call to action. Book here, call me here, come to this place. You give them somewhere to go. Got to have somewhere to go, and invite your interviewer to the show as a reviewer or just as, for hangs, but do invite them. We like being invited to things all the time, especially if we're VIP. PR don't send a shabby media release or contact somebody via socials and be like, hey, I've got a show, because it just won't get seen and it's harder to search for. Don't email them every day until they block you or have you arrested. Don't worry if your story doesn't get a run. That's okay, because that happens. Sometimes there might be wild weather and, you get knocked off the front page because there's a pandemic. No, I didn't. I still got the front page. But don't worry if it doesn't get a run. Just try another angle or another publication. Maybe that's a whole thing about finding your audience, that it's not that one. Maybe you do need to send it to Kiddo Mag or Kids in Adelaide or something like that. Maybe that's where it's at. Maybe more of a teacher thing. Maybe more of a, I don't know, a disability thing. Try it again. Don't ask to see a copy of a story before it goes to print or to air, unless you are paying for advertorial, because it's rude. So that's just a little hot tip. Okay, now there are some questions that we got through. I've just popped them in here, so I'm going to answer those now. I'm doing an intensive workshop on this stuff. So we're going to go through a media release and I'm going to teach how to actually write that and look at your specific show, give you some PR advice. And that is on Monday. So if you want to come to that, that's here. You can go to promptcreativecentre.com.au and there's a little discount for people who are here today, and that's DIY Fringe. So I'll cut that off at midnight tonight, but just gives you a few dollars off if you want to come and be part of that one. But somebody said advice for publicising something that people may seem as heavy subject matter: disability, chronic illness, endometriosis. Well, happen to know a little bit about that. Endo March is coming up, and that's a really good opportunity to say, hey, it's Endo March. If you know somebody else who's doing a show like that, like if they're doing something about mental illness, or if it's, you know, specifically about autism or something like that, then maybe band together and do a bit of these Adelaide artists are taking on this particular subject and this is how to do it. Or if you're interstate, my apologies, that that you're doing this, that this artist is tackling this. I don't think that subjects are too heavy for news. I think sometimes that's better because it's not just I think it's if you can pitch it in the right way, then you can actually do some real good with a media story like that. How do I build a mailing list? I think Georgia talked a lot about that. But yeah, do look at your previous ticket sales as well. Do that. But also sometimes you can build a mailing list by getting people to sign up to things because you might offer a competition. So it might be, win tickets to my show if you sign up for this, or I'm giving away one of my t-shirts, or win a date with me. Oh, imagine all the entries. The best way to pitch to media where there are thousands of shows, it's such a good question. It's such a good question. You can hire a gun publicist who can do that for you, like Johnny Graham. Don't hire him, he works for Fringe, he's busy. But yeah, you can put your money into a publicist. I reckon that can be a great idea, but do put some solid cash into online marketing. That's where your audience is, and media doesn't always convert to ticket sales. It's really great for brand awareness, and it's really it's awesome for your, getting you out there, but it doesn't always convert to ticket sales. So, but social media marketing and Google Ads do. So yeah, I reckon the best way to pitch to media when there are thousands of shows is to have excellent photos and a really good pitch, a really, really good angle, a hook. Why is your show or story better? Is it about the show, or is it about you? Is it about the fact that father and son team up to do, you're doing a national tour, you've never done Fringe before, you don't even use social media, and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to just do all of the festivals. It's a great story. It's awesome. And you're wearing a three-piece suit. Your dream. It's fabulous. How to get the best bang for buck for a one-week season and how to reach an older audience are two very different things. Facebook is the answer to both of those, because older people, we're on Facebook. That's where we're at. But yeah, also we do read the news, so it's good to pitch to media through that as well. How am I going? Do I need to finish? Okay, here's the time. I've talked really fast though. Oh God. Yeah, so I think a one-week season is to schedule. Make sure you're scheduling your posts, schedule your media, schedule everything around it. Do lots of lead up. Everything that Fringe offers, like we're doing a media call, we need artists, get in there. We're doing this, we need people to be on board, do spots, do things that's going to get you out there, meet other artists. We talk and we'll be like, oh, such and such is doing a thing about blah blah blah, you should collab with them. I always say surround yourself with people who mention your name in a room full of opportunities, and that's what Fringe do, is that they get us all together. And they do allow us to do that for each other. So I'm going to leave it on that, I reckon. And Georgia, shall we do some Johnny's going to come in and tell us how it's really done.
Thank you so much, Libby. That's just, once again, gold right there. So thank you so much. We are going to, do you mind just sharing that? Putting the, oh yeah, screen. Sorry. So now we're just going to do some Q&A. So we do already have some questions that have been previously asked, which we hope that most people have found their answers. I believe there's some that have been writing down in the room as well. And if you've got any online, please just pop them in the chat, and we've got Kieran who will relay them over. I'd also like to introduce Johnny Graham, who's from Mogul, which is a social media and PR agency, works with Adelaide Fringe as well. It's excellent to have everyone in the space here. So once again, we've got Georgia, Libby and Johnny. So I guess we'll just start with our first questions that are online and we'll go from there.
Yes, this is from Jacob Jackman online.
Oh.
He asks, hi Jacob. Jacob asks, what do you think the ideal time to send out a media release is?
I'll just reiterate just in case they can't hear you. So what's the best time to send out a media release, right? So who would like to take that?
I actually had a point about this. There are, a few different types of media. We kind of call them like one in particular long lead. So if you want to get into print publications, they usually work to an 8-week cycle. So if you want to sort of hit the February edition of SA Life, you'd need to be pitching to them sort of mid-December. And that would need to be like quite a comprehensive pitch and story about getting something into print that was significant, substantial and meaningful. Your like radio lead times and your like, daily print times, you can kind of pump them out. You could pitch on the day, you could pitch a few days prior. But I think for Fringe, you generally want to have your conversations starting mid-January at the latest for our cycle. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, because with radio, you do need not much lead time, but bearing in mind that there might be political stuff happening at the time and that's going to take precedence. So you want to kind of book in with that as well.
And if you are aware of the news cycle and you see a topic that's trending and it relates to your show, that's something to capitalize on as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
we're currently talking about, I don't know, environmental sustainability in the context of water, and your show, it happens to be about, saving water. You would maybe contact that radio station, say,
Yeah.
hey, I have a hook that lends itself to current themes.
Yeah, get your voice into the story. That's good. Jacob Jackman is also doing a show here at Prompt Creative Centre. It's called Soup of the Day. Fabulous gig.
So for instance, if there was, a news theme around soup, that would be perfect.
It would be great. Yeah.
Excellent.
Soup is often in the news.
Yeah, it's a huge,
Controversial.
it's a huge topic.
Why don't we open up to any questions in the room for our next one? Yeah.
I heard you talk about school guide. At this point, our show has these dates, it's all set up, but he does fantastic, the principal of my act does fantastic school workshops. Can you do them as well as Fringe? Or do you have to make them Fringe shows?
Ah, I see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the question was, just so everyone can hear, can you do school workshops alongside your school programmed event? Is that
No,
correct? Or
No.
are you in the school program?
No,
No. Okay. So yeah, you should be.
Mhm.
Absolutely. If your show is applicable to school audiences.
but my question is, I paid for 3 shows, not 20. But we could potentially do 17.
Are you
school
saying
workshops.
So are the school workshops like based around, like you're giving learning activities to schools and do they need to see the show to do this activity? But it would be good publicity for the show to do those activities? You should do
Yeah.
it.
So you don't have to pay extra registration.
Well, they're not shows
do.
then, and the schools would have to be venues then, wouldn't they?
Yeah, no, so when it comes to the schools program, you can do an incursion and go to the school, and the school, we have a schools coordinator in our team that organises that. So if you've ticked in your registration that your show is good for school aged audiences, then our school coordinator will get in touch. So what happens there, beyond the public facing events that you have already got included in your registration, there can be a conversation with what is available for your show. So you're saying that your one of your performers runs workshops. And so the workshop that you're running could potentially be along the same theme as the show. Yeah, so there's definitely ways to offer that. But there's also, like, once you have, depending on how many you've paid in your registration, you can continue to do your sessions. So you've said you've done three, so you've paid the middle bracket. Yeah, gotcha. So the workshop side of it, you can definitely add on, and schools would buy that outside, but it's definitely worth putting as a workshop as a registered in itself, because that grabs the attention alongside.
So I can then go to my ADR and add it in.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, absolutely. It bumps it up, but then, yeah, obviously it starts going on our online, but whether you want it to be public facing or school facing, that's what the schools coordinator will continue to that conversation with you for. Yeah.
Thank you.
And further to that, if you were looking to get that show in front of the right audience as well, it will go in the school's booking guide, but also you can purchase advertising in the guide. So have extra space and that goes to the teachers across South Australia. It's put into the staff rooms and they're flicking through the guide to see what shows they want to take their students to, / what do they want to bring into the school for their students to do as well.
And as a qualified teacher myself, if you've got a unit of work or there's something attached to it that I can use, that makes life a lot easier for me, and I love that. So yeah, the more you had attached to that show, the more likely we're going to book.
It's drumming, it's music.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, great.
On the drumming curriculum.
Drumming curriculum.
Dance.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the time there is an education package that's sort of, really helpful to get for teachers to get that booking over line. They've got to sort of take it to, other worlds within the school to sort of get the budget to take an excursion and things like that. So having an education package, I think, is something that really helps back that up for them to be able to make that purchase through the school. Yeah.
I'll speak loudly so you don't have to repeat the question. I've got a combo question about scheduling and budgeting for a social media campaign. The question is how much to spend and when. And I presume that the goal is to try and do the marketing and get the ticket sales when the ticket sales are being sold at their peak times. And that's probably within a week or so of the show being on. How do we get that information as producers to know what advertising to do when, how much to pay, and measure the effectiveness of it?
Sure. So a lot of that will come down to testing, but to start off with, as I guess like a bit of a foundation, something to note about Facebook is it's a learning platform. And so if you start advertising about your show 1 week before it happens, it will not perform very well because that is not a big enough window for the algorithm to learn. It learns as it spends your money and shows it to the right audience, and then it makes it better. And so I would heavily suggest at least 1 month out to start advertising before your show dates. Keeping in mind, so the program goes on launch from the 6th of December. So the Fringe will be advertising from then onwards because we can sell tickets. Anytime from that, I would also suggest that you start doing it. I would suggest you schedule so that it's one campaign running for that one duration, as opposed to advertising for a week in December and then advertising for a week in February. Like I said, that learning period will be too short, and it won't churn out those really good results, as opposed to running one campaign for 4 weeks straight and watching it, as you can do in the back end, and seeing how the money is being spent. If the conversion rate, it gives you a cost per conversion, so you can see how much money you're spending per click or per ticket sale. You can see that in the Facebook ad backend, and you can, if you think it's too high, you can change out your creative, you can change maybe the targeting, or you can change the budget possibly.
Gotcha.
So in terms of scheduling, I hope that helps. I guess amongst the algorithm, it would be great to jump on in January at the latest, before that February mark, I would suggest. And in terms of a budget, again, if you have an advertising budget for your 2 shows and you want to, and being your first year in the Fringe, you want to figure out what's going to work the best. And so I would put a good bulk of that into social media, but I would also try something else at the same time. At the Fringe, we do have a specific ad sales coordinator who would be the best person to talk to figure out where you should be spending your money. To start on social media, if you were targeting Adelaide in general, weren't too specific on your targeting demographic, running for about a month, I would try to budget between like $500 and $1,000 for your social media campaign. I would start with that. You can go less and you can go more. That would be really ideal. If you go less, you can spend $1 a day and still see results. If you maybe are going for 3 weeks and have a bit more of a targeted audience, try between 200 and 500, something like that. So it just depends on your audience size and how long you want to do it, which will dictate the budget.
Gotcha.
I would highly recommend, if you want really more detailed information about it though, specific for your show, your audience, get in touch with our ads coordinator, who will be really good with that advice there too.
Or Johnny.
Or Johnny.
Speaking of Johnny, we're going to direct any questions to Johnny at this stage, because Johnny's only with us for a couple of more minutes.
Few
Yeah.
minutes, yeah.
So, did you want to add anything to that first? Or?
No, I've got a few things to bring up.
Great.
Like, if you've got any questions first, do we want to roll with that? Any PR related questions?
Any online? Oh, yeah.
Can I just back onto the Facebook ads?
Yeah.
Simultaneous ads, like 2 at the same time, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Because what Facebook will do, it'll learn which ad is the better performing ad as well. So it's actually better if you have a few ads running at the same time, different creatives, different copy. You can learn what your audience is converting to the most, and then Facebook will put more money automatically behind that high converting ad. So that's a better way to do. You can also do A/B testing.
Great. Was there anything online for Johnny
No.
at this point? Anyone else in the room? No? All right, take it away.
I will just say, like, review nights, and I'm not sure if this was covered before I got here, but if you want to invite reviewers to come to your show, you can often use a review as collateral to then, include in your digital marketing campaign and that kind of thing. So inviting reviewers, the way I like to do it is dedicate a specific review night, usually a couple into your season where you've tested the tech, you've got the show's like working well, and then invite, so reviewers to that 3rd early season show. Try and get them to come to the same show, so that you've dotted all your I's, crossed your T's, that show is going to be perfect. If they don't all come to that show, you can obviously have them in later as well, but I like to allocate them to one night, because the other thing you can do on that night is you can pay for the show. So if the show hasn't sold very well, you give a few of those tickets away, so you have your reviewers sitting in a full house, which enhances their experience as well. So I would throw a review night on like a specific night. That's the night you direct reviewers to. If you haven't sold that show, and you'll probably know like the day of, or the day before, you can send out to friends and family a bit of a like, come see the show on this night. You put them in there for free, just to push out the audience, so those reviewers have a better experience and the reviews come back more positively. That's my only like little.
Yeah, people often ask, how to get reviewers, and I think I find that, the thing I was saying about know your competition. So if somebody's done a show that you liked or that is similar to yours, and you've seen it reviewed, and you want your show reviewed by that same publication, hit them up. I think it's a really good way of finding reviewers. It's also a good way of finding media to pitch to, is like find a story that you think aligns with what you're doing. So, if you saw a really good review in Glam Adelaide and you think that person's going to like your show, then contact them. Is a really nice way of targeting that and making sure that the reviewer that you get is somebody who's going to enjoy your stuff. You can't really guarantee that with the Tizer though, because they tend to just distribute their stuff, because they cover so much, so you can't always target it. But yeah,
you're in a particularly unique position with Adelaide Fringe as well, because the work the team put into Fringe, it's such a significant tourism driver for interstate guests, and there are extra people in the city who are here looking to experience art. So you have, well, a larger market, but as a result of that, you also have out of state and additional media in town, and, you know, street publications that wouldn't ordinarily be publishing. So it's a time to collect reviews from media that otherwise wouldn't be in the city in South Australia. So it's a really like important time to focus on reviews if you are like testing a show that you want to tour even, because you can then use that collateral to leverage, you know, future works, future shows.
And Fringe have a media guide. So they have a media guide and it's got all the contacts in it.
Yeah. Further to that tourism thing, that's a really good point. We are doing a huge interstate drive this year. We do want to boost South Australia's tourism at the Fringe, and we want to increase our tourism numbers. And so on social media advertising, you can target people who are traveling to Adelaide. And so another audience there, obviously coming to Adelaide during Fringe time to attend the Fringe, that's already a warm audience. Facebook can find those people who are going to be traveling to Adelaide during that timeline, and it can target with those ads as well. So that's also a good one to do.
She is.
You're all clever.
Well, I have to run, gorgeous people, but
Thank
all
you.
the best with your Fringe seasons. Very exciting.
Thank you. It was nice to have you with us. Cheers. I'm just taking a seat. Do we have any other questions? There's so much. So much that we've unpacked today, I think. Yes, we do.
Would you say that the majority of a marketing campaign is online, like socials? And then another percentage is a couple of friends and bringing them up.
For my shows, I've had really good results from a really large range of it. So I've had media stories, but I've also like put an ad in the Fringe guide and found that that was really, really helpful. Like I sold more tickets than I ever had before when I had an ad in the Fringe guide. And because I was at Gluttony, I had Scrim as well, and that just really helped. So having your posters as well as your social media, and the social media kind of gets people who are at home, and the, you know, marketing on the streets has people there, because then they might go, oh, I've seen that around. You know, I think it's important to cover your bases if you can afford it. If your budget is tight, then kind of, you know, I reckon channel that online marketing. But yeah, I think, you know, doing a range of stuff is really, really beneficial, because as somebody said before, there are thousands of shows. There's so many different people going to see different things that you've got to cover your bases.
I would 100% agree. I think omnipresence is important. I think if you do have that smaller budget, social media is a great way. You have to remember that people aren't always, or more often than not, people aren't going on their social media to buy something though. You are interrupting their day with an ad, and more often than not, it is going to get scrolled past. When you look at impressions, which is how many times an ad shows up in a feed versus how many people actually click on it, huge difference. And that's because people are on social media to look at what their friends are doing. You're interrupting their day. So it is great for that brand awareness. It works though, what you said, they see it, it's in their mind, then they're reminded of it when they see that sign walking down Rundle Street. They're reminded when they see your listing in the guide. They're reminded if they see an article of you in City Mag because you pitched to the media that way. So there is, having that spread is important, and there are savvy ways to do it. Some publications that we love working with at the Fringe is Kiddo Mag, Kids in Adelaide. Glam Adelaide is a great one, and City Mag for more of a print publication. There is also a brand new publication starting for more of a street presence on music and culture and amongst Adelaide called The Note, which will be done through HWR Media. They do SA Life, etc. So having that spread is important, and it's honestly just trying to find what works. What works for one artist won't work for another artist. It comes down to your collateral, it comes down to the type of show and genre that you have, it comes down to who your audience is and where they're consuming that content. It's learning, it's adapting and growing as your audience shifts and moves and where they are.
I think as well, some publications want you to offer something to their readers, listeners, viewers as well. So some people might only take it on if you can offer them competition tickets, because then they get the clicks and that kind of thing. Do that if you can afford to, if you're okay with giving away tickets. Only do it if you're comfortable with it. Because yeah, but it can be a really good way of publicising your show.
That's a great one too, or even just offering a percentage off and capping those ticket numbers that offer that percentage off.
Yeah.
And people will see eventually they've missed out and then maybe buy a full price ticket
Yeah.
anyway because it's sold out.
Just on that, you can set up promo codes very easily through our ticketing Fringe Ticks team. So yeah, there's a resource on AEVR that's about creating promo codes, but also you can just email ticketing at adelaidefringe.com.au or artists@adelaidefringe.com.au and we can help.
I did a discount. I think when you have fun with discount codes, it can be really good. Like I had an endo flare up and I did this little email about there being a flare sale, but it was like a fire sale. And the so I used the code word of, you know, flare sale. And I'm like, I've got the flare up, so you get the discounts. And it went really well because it was just being silly. And I think that gets people's attention rather than I'm not selling any tickets. So
Yeah.
10% off, you know, so just have fun with it, be on brand and sell your show, because it's always the best show that's ever been produced, right? You never, it's never like, oh, you know, I need bums on seats, which is a term you will hear a lot at Fringe. I need bums on seats, I need bums on seats. But if you promise people it's going to be the best time they've ever had with no money back guarantee, yeah, just keep being positive about your show, because your show is the best thing that's ever happened.
And another I'll come to you in 1 second. I was also going to add, I don't know how frequently artists might do this, but in the Fringe office, we are very proactive in spreading through word of mouth. And it is one of the most effective forms of marketing still to this day is word of mouth marketing, and getting people to talk about your show, tell their friends, share your social media posts, share the reviews that you're getting at the end of your show. If that's something that you say at the end of it, tell people about it. That is also, people are going to believe their friend more than an ad every time about how good something is. And so that is also shouldn't be overlooked either. It's still very effective.
But as a journalist, if somebody shares a review that I wrote that's positive and they, you know, give me a glowing review of my review, then I'm more likely to cover them again or do an interview, because I'm like, oh, nice, you know, sharing the love. If it's a bad review, you know, it's what you want with that. You had a question.
I do recommend anyone to hire for marketing.
Specifically, which like just marketing in general, or
in general.
more in general? Yeah,
Just relay that question, so can you go?
sure. So the question was if we recommend anyone for hiring to manage marketing. So who you met just before, Johnny Graham from Mogul PR, they manage the Adelaide Fringe PR and social media, but they can also manage artists, I believe. We also work with another agency called On My Mind, who specialize in advertising and marketing for artists. They work specifically with artists. They are fantastic. I can absolutely pass on those details to the people who work here. They are wonderful to work with and I highly recommend.
We also have just in general on AVR, I'm the AVR person, that they're the service providers list where there's anyone who's offering service that could help any of our artists putting on their shows. That's a list that you can go to and their contact details are there as well. So yeah, that's very accessible.
And then to back onto that one, I guess that you're responsible more so towards the marketing manager. So then at what point would you get a publicist? That to me is different.
It's really
They are
different.
different.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends what you want from your marketing and publicity. You know, it's, I guess, and also your budget really, depends on that. I would definitely hire a publicist if I was looking to for long term. Like I want to really brand the show, and I really want to brand myself, and I want to make sure that I can tour it, and I want to put myself in front of the right people. I want to do festivals, that kind of thing. Like that's what getting into the media is. If your goal is selling tickets, marketing is your thing. So
sorry, it might be a stupid question, but what's the difference between marketeer and?
What's the difference between marketing and publicity? It's a great question, which I probably should have started with. So publicity is you're pitching to media and getting news stories on TV, radio, online, what else? I don't know. Media. And marketing is more of your kind of your advertising, your back end kind of stuff.
Your own channels, your social media, your website, your strategy,
signage,
yeah,
posters, you know, that
your
kind
brand.
of, yeah.
So these two agencies, the Mobile PR and Online Minds, do they provide service with publication, publicity and?
I think they're both, aren't they?
Mogul does.
Mogul
On
does
My
that.
Mind is just marketing. If for publicity, Mogul does that. But they worked with the Fringe, so they can't do that for artists this year, unfortunately.
Rebel Yell
But
do
yes.
marketing publicity, and they're very, very artsy. Sticky Jam, I think, does social media marketing.
And they're both on our service providers list. So, yeah.
And they're good people.
Great.
Any other questions?
You mentioned we can talk to ad coordinator at the
Yes.
Fringe.
Yeah.
So it's free service or?
It's all free. Yeah. Yeah. If you buy ads, that's not free. But talking to him and seeking advice and everything, you can always call him. I don't know what his direct number is, but the email is ads@adelaidefringe.com.au. And his name is Richie, and he is fantastic. He's an artist himself, so he gets it.
Ads at the shop.
Ads@adelaidefringe.com.au. I think his details are spread across AVR as well. They would be in the ad kit on AVR and the Land and Brogo brand and logo. Brand and logo package on AVR. Those should be there too.
If you call the number, you'll probably get artists and venues, but we know how to transfer to Richie.
I don't know how to transfer, so that's great that you do.
There's a lot of information. Is everyone all right?
Yeah.
You're good? Feeling more confident or more questions?
Ready to go.
Ready to go? I love it.
Must go home, but.
Love it.
Oh, that's great.
It's important to know that it's a beast. Marketing is a huge thing. We have a team of 10 people at the Adelaide Fringe, and we still hire other people as well we hire the best, try to hire the best to get the best results. And it is a forever changing world as well. And so we still learn new things every day. Everything changes too. So start with some things today. You don't need to try everything and you don't need to be the best at everything. But I think starting this and seeking that advice is great.
It's well worth if you're wanting to have a look at Facebook ads, like you're saying, and doing something that Georgia has talked about for your Christmas market.
Yes.
So potentially like, you know, have a play with it because people are looking for gift ideas. And I think it's a nice time to just gently roll out a little campaign, especially, you know, when tickets go on sale and you're like, hey, I'm doing a show.
Yeah.
And see if you can roll an ad, have some good keywords in there, good image, good copy with a link to your tickets and see how you go. And if you know, look at your stats and if you're like, okay, it looks like this is the, you know, the location or the gender or the, you know, whatever that are looking at your ad, then that might be where you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that can also then dictate what kind of media you pitch to. So it's like you're realizing that the age group that you're looking at is a lot younger than you thought, then you pitch to City Mag. Because that's a publication that is, you know, sort of more popular with younger people, you know, and also I guess it just gives you a bit more direction, especially if you haven't written your show, that can help too. Who do I pitch it at?
Yes.
Do you need any sort of license to run a competition on Facebook?
That is a great
It's a
question.
great question because there are rules.
There are rules. It depends on the type of competition. So Facebook like to change what they want to do a lot of the time. So most recently, what I understand is if you're running a competition and it is a random generator, so it's not about like comment and you pick the comment based on 25 words or something like that. If it is everyone who shares this post will go into a competition to win, and then you use a random generator or an Excel spreadsheet and just pick it randomly. That is okay to do, and you don't need a license. However, if it is something where you are picking the winner based on their best answer, that's something it needs a type of license. I forget what it's called, but it is something you need to apply for and often pay for. And everyone gets away with it every day on Facebook because Facebook can't track everyone. However, Facebook is very good at knowing when something is happening that shouldn't happen. So I would always say just always back yourself with that, because once you get flagged on Facebook, it is almost impossible to get your account back. And it's happened to me before, and Facebook's very good at doing it, and it's very frustrating. And so yes, either that, or you can host it on your website, and websites are a bit different and different rules and things. So there are ways around it. I would just Google it, just find the information that way. Yeah.
I'll often click back to my website. So
Yeah.
if it's like an Upside Adelaide thing, and like, you can win tickets to this thing.
Yeah.
People are then clicking your website, which is great for your SEO. So it's
Yeah.
good for traffic. And then it also covers all those kind of things. And you can collect email addresses for your mailing list. So it's just a cheeky data harvest.
Yeah. Data is your best friend with marketing. It sounds boring, but it really is.
It's really boring.
Excellent. Does anyone have any more questions? We've got all this wisdom. Is there one happening there? Oh, maybe.
Yeah, one more. question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Do we have like access to the emails of all the people who came to see our last show?
Great
Do we
question.
get access to it?
Yes, so the question is about accessing data or emails for previous customers. So you are able to access any data where customers have opted into. So there's an option when the customers are buying tickets that they have said, yes, I'd like the presenter to have my contact details for further promotions. And so providing they've done that and it's through Fringe Ticks, you would have a opportunity to opt into that. But otherwise, if the audience haven't opted into it, we can't provide that information. That's a privacy.
So how do we know it's there already?
Oh, once again, there's a resource on AVR, which is about which is about retrieving customer data from previous seasons. Yeah.
If they haven't opted in, you're not going to get that data.
Sure.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. I reckon that they just, I think you only provide us with the data that people have opted in. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you don't have to sift through it and be like, oh no, they don't want me to contact them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We do that for you.
Yeah. Are we done?
I think so.
Oh, good hustle. Well hustle, team.
Thank you, everyone that's with us today online and in person. And thank you so much to Georgia and Libby. This has been really excellent. And I can imagine that everyone's sitting there going, I'm going to start or ready to go, which is excellent. Just a few reminders that Libby's workshop is next week. So if anyone does want to book in, make sure Prompt Creative website. Is that where we get? And there was the code as well for last minute.
DIY Fringe.
DIY Fringe. We have the Meet the Media event that's going to be in the lead up to Fringe. So this is where this information today is just gold for that. And that's happening at the end of January or beginning of Feb.
Some people bring wine for the journalists.
Do they? Or is that just a hint?
I just thought of it. Not even related.
Yes. So anyway, we are here. Thank you so much to Prompt Creative. Thank you for having us. And we shall see you all online or on emails or over the phone. All the best with your preparation, and please call us or reach out if you need us at the Artists and Venues team.
Thank you.
So, thank you.